Hi, everyone. So yes, I'm going to take you from the past into the future. Do you ever get a lump in your throat when something difficult has happened? Or butterflies in your stomach when you're nervous, like I do when I'm presenting or performing? That you wish you could transmit telepathically, instantly, to someone close to you when there's no other way to express it? I think we all get those sensations in our bodies connected to our emotions and our experiences. So, I'm a media artist, as Dean said, and this is my interest and become my passion, and a problem I want to solve with wearable technology and my background in performance and interactive arts. So I'm going to tell you a story. When I was 3.5, my parents were divorced when I was 3.5, and this was just starting to become a thing in Canada in the 70s. And I traveled the vastness of Canada between them because they decided to live too far apart. Also, my mom was in the hospital quite a lot, and I ended up staying with my relatives much of the time. And I knew I was loved by my parents, but I wanted to send them my thoughts and my feelings directly to them. I wanted them to know how much I missed them instantly, without words, without having to call them, without a letter. So this desire to telepathically send feelings and thoughts and ideas traveled into my adulthood with my friends and partners. I thought, I wish I could do this. So in my work, this is kind of my focus, is to try to find ways to use the available technologies to send and communicate meaningfully across distance to people that we care about. It's an image of my work and recent work. And it's really about trying to find the available technologies, and some of them are medical, some are not. I work also with mobile devices and some other kinds of non-traditional technologies. And I try to integrate into performance and interactive arts. I started off in dance in the 80s. And I was in indie rock bands as a singer-songwriter throughout the 90s, as many people seem to be in that time. And there was no jobs. And so I also dabbled with curating. This is the Lux Gallery in Vancouver in 1998, and that is me. But I really wanted to make films and abstract video and documentaries. And one of the things that was really frustrating that I discovered after many film event activities where you're meant to find funding was that it's hard and it takes forever and you may not get to make that thing you wanted to make. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I went back and got multimedia training and started an online community called Tales of Slacker Bonding, all about Gen X relationships. And we had poetry and stories, we had parties, we had early flash animation soap operas. We tried to do video streaming on 56K modems. That was challenging. And this led me to curating interactive art through the New Forms Festival, still going on actually, from 2002 to 2004 as a curator and producer. But I wanted to make art. So I went back to school and did my master's, and this is where I found a way to combine all of my artistic interests, and where I found my passion, working with sensing technologies in interactive art and performance. I had the luck and fortune to work with some really inspirational artists, researchers, Tekla Schiffhorst and Susan Kozel, who led a project called the Whispers Project. And it was a wearable tech project and also incorporated performance. And it was aiming at developing new technologies, but also new communication metaphors to enable wireless technologies and devices to enable communication between people and about the body, or affect. And this is us in 2005 at the SIGGRAPH convention. And my job was to help set up some of the performance and installation at various conferences and events. I was documenting all the interesting activities that were happening in the project and putting them on the web. And I was also helping to sew garments and also helping with the interaction and performance workshops that we did with participants. There was many iterations and many different kinds of garments and many different technologies that were incorporated as a massive team. But eventually, Schiphorst and Kozel went off and did other really interesting work that built on this. And I too wanted to do this. I wanted to build on the learning from this project. And so my particular focus was, how do we listen to what's going on in the body? How can we tap into the sensations, the thoughts, the emotions, perceptions, experiences, and use the developing various wearable technologies to somehow express that outward meaningfully, and that's the key. So in my PhD project, this was called Mind Touch, I did a number of workshops, and these workshops were to get people to think about how would you visualize a thought, a feeling, a headache, outwardly, using your mobile phone in the video. This was a big challenge because actually smartphones were just starting to come out, so I had to provide all the smartphones. And the idea was that people would use their body or their surrounding space to somehow visualize that internal sensation. And here's some of the images, and there are hundreds that came out of it. I don't know if you can see that, but some of them were really profound, the kinds of really creative, and these weren't necessarily creative people who participated, really creative, beautiful images, and some of them were quite powerful. This one in the center really has been something that stuck with me, and this was a woman who recently had been in an accident, was in a wheelchair, and to me this was her showing her frustration. She can never go down those stairs. So the whole project was about simulating telepathy, and how can we do that using available technologies, and how can we do it meaningfully and artistically. So I had all these images and videos in a database, and later, I set up a number of performance events, and these were unusual performance events because they actually happened online, and the performer would be in social environment, in a party or in a social space, and maybe no one in that environment would know that they were performing, but it would happen online. And what they were doing is their data from their blood volume, which is like pulse and breath and various other sensors we used, would be triggering various folders in the database which represented different experiences of the workshop people and their videos. So this was a feedback loop of the videos translating, subjectively translating internal experience using body data to technologically change what was happening, and it became this conversation of people sharing their internal voice, and it's quite interesting. We had to use the available technologies and didn't have a huge budget, so we started with one of the very earliest Arduino systems and some off-the-shelf clunky medical sensors, and we housed them in a custom garment, and I had to get help at that time to put the technology together. But fast forward 7 odd years, and now I'm trying to make my own sensors, my own garments using conductive materials and new technologies and small lily pads and all those kinds of electronics. I'm also finding myself part of a maker community of wearable technology, DIY wearable technology and smart fashion people who are sharing all of their knowledge about crafting and making. I work with a choreographer dancer, Kate Sicchio, and she and I are working together to find different ways of handcrafting our own garments for performance and different ways to visualize or haptically share expressively these kinds of internal sensations and perceptions and emotions. And I've been involved in educating because it's part of the Maker movement to share your knowledge. So I've been doing workshops, and I've been primarily focused on sharing my knowledge with other performers who in the past or even present might be relying on other technologists, but as a way to empower them to use and make their own technologies. I'm also interested in empowering girls and women to make their own technologies instead of leaving that all to the men. So I've been doing workshops with them. But the thing that is really interesting me now is how do we bring all these stakeholders in this, you know, ever-hyped wearable technology domain now together to make more interesting and more useful and meaningful wearable technologies. So I'm starting a group next week, and it's trying to primarily bring in the artistic voice as opposed to the design or the tech or the big corporate voice, but to try to bring these people together so we can make more exciting, more powerful technologies. And I don't mean power in terms of how fast can it go, but how much more meaningful it can be to us. So I'm starting this group with a woman named Melissa Coleman, who was instrumental in starting up the V2 Wearable Tech Lab, which is in Rotterdam. And we hope anyone who's interested to join us. For the foreseeable future, I want to continue to try to explore ways to take that inner knowledge and inner experience and find new and expressive ways to communicate outward between us and amongst us as people. So we have technology that says something powerful. And I would like to see a time when we have as many ways to express our internal selves as we do have books in the British Library. Thank you.